Now, what we'll constantly see in the narrative of the Hebrew Bible, but also we could see kind of these promises looking for fulfillment in the New Testament, is Yahweh is always trying to dwell in the midst of his people. He has these longings for, I want to dwell with my people. I want to reside among my people. I want to be among my people. I will be your God, and you will be my people. And we can see after the destruction of the temple in the year 587 that God is no longer dwelling in the midst of his people, but with these promises of restoration and the reorganization of the people of God in the organization of the new covenant, we have several of the prophets talking about how God is once again going to reside in the midst of his people. And that's because there was this understanding that God was dwelling in the midst of his people, first in the tabernacle. You can see that in the final chapter of the book of Exodus, in Exodus chapter 40, where God's glory came down and dwelt in the tabernacle, and the very same thing happened at the construction and completion of Solomon's temple, to where the glory came down and dwelt in the Holy of Holies. Ezekiel, in his opening chapters, sees the glory of God getting up and leaving, indicating that God has been displeased with the behavior of Israel and their disobedience and their idolatry. So he gets up and leaves, making the temple vulnerable to attack. Guess what? It gets attacked and it gets destroyed by the Babylonians. However, that's not the end of the story, because we could see a prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 39, in the last verse of that chapter, verse 29, where Yahweh says, "And I will not hide my face anymore from them when I pour out my spirit upon the house of Israel." Ezekiel 39, verse 29. So notice God is speaking in the first person, I, indicating Yahweh's only one person. I'm going to pour out my spirit upon the house of Israel. What this means is God is going to share his own presence and power with his people. And in doing so, he pours out his spirit. Notice, I and my are those first-person singular pronouns. You can look at the phrase for spirit, the ruhi, my spirit, indicating that the spirit belongs to the one God who is only one person. This is not difficult to see. God is only one person thousands and thousands of times in the Old and New Testament. The spirit belongs to God because it's the extension of God's own presence.